if you grow flowers or are thinking about growing flowers, then I would recommend that you have a think about what you can do with each stem. And I like to use fresh flowers in my arrangements, but I also like to use naturally dried everlasting flowers, and I grow a lot of flowers that you can do both. So this is Achillea, and it's a perfect crop for both fresh and dried. So there's three things that you really need to think about when you're thinking about growing and drying everlastings. One is what to grow, the other is when to cut the stems, and the final thing is why don't they dry perfectly sometimes. And I'm going to share with you all the things that I wish somebody had told me when I first started to create some dried flowers years and years ago. So for Achillea, it's a really beautiful flower, a very transitional flower. You can get loads and loads of varieties. This one is summer pastels, but do choose one that's got a good colour in the head, because they will fade a little bit, but I'll tell you how to avoid that too. So when you look at your plants growing, you want them to be mature enough, and by that I mean you want the heads for Achillea to be a little bit stiff. So don't pick it if they're still a bit soft, but experiment. So have a pick a stem, and the key thing is you need to still condition flowers for drying. So these stems have been cut in the morning and put in water overnight. Another critical thing is to make sure you strip the leaves. So it's the same process with flowers for fresh. You need to prepare them properly. So I will strip all these leaves away, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to dry the stem, and all those leaves contain a lot of water and a lot of moisture, and you want to take that away from the heads. So I will group colours together. So this looks like a good bit of pink. It doesn't have to be as perfect as it would for a bouquet going into water. So just strip all the stems. I would put maybe 5 to 10 stems, and I would tie them with an elastic band to make sure that I don't end up coming down in the morning, and when the stems shrink, which they will do when they're drying, they will come out. If you just tied them up with string, you can never tie them tight enough. So you need to make sure that they've got something that is going to hold them together. So an elastic band is perfect, and you don't want to have them so tight that they haven't got any air around them, because that's what is going to cause you to get stems that don't dry but just will rot. So there's lots of leaves stripped off, there's lots of air around, and don't put them in direct sunlight, because that will fade them. It also they just will not dry nicely in direct sunlight, is my experience. And I like to dry in the same colour palette, because when you come to get them out of wherever you're storing them, and storage, there's a tale. So when you're storing them, I wrap mine in newspaper, and I put them in labelled boxes to save myself the drama of hunting for a particular set of stems that it takes me an absolute age to find. So remember to label your stems, wrap them in newspaper, hang them for about a week or two. It depends on your conditions. It's very hard for me to say in a drafty old wharf, oh, you need to just hang them for a week, which is what I need to do because we're in a drafty old wharf. You might have less air circulation and be drying different things. So for me, this would take me a good week, if not a fortnight, but I like to be sure that it's completely dried before I take them down, because the worst thing is then to have gone to all that effort, wrap them in newspaper, there's still some water in there, and then you unwrap them and basically there's a load of mould and horribleness and you can't use the stem. So I hope that's been helpful about how to dry a stem of limonium, and if you've enjoyed this video and learnt something, then I'd be delighted if you consider subscribing to my channel, Fierceblooms. It's all about sustainable flowers and creating with seasonality. Thanks so much for watching.